Warzone audio. How important is it? Well, it's very important. Almost as important as you hitting that like button on this video. I have re-recorded this I don't know how many times, so if this is a good one, I'm leaving this in. Anyways, last video, there was several comments and questions. I decided to go ahead and dig into it. So here's everything audio related in Warzone from startup to finish. We're going to cover it all. So let's get started. From the home screen, we're going to go to options. In options, we're going to go to audio. Once you're there, the first thing you see at the top is the audio mix with a drop-down box and multiple options. Don't go picking a random option thinking it's going to be best. First, we need to understand it. Now, it says to the right for more information. That's what you want to do, R3 or a certain key on your keyboard. Once you open that up, we have a new window. It's going to be every item from the drop-down box, and you're going to see a graph or a chart next to it. That is called EQ. At the bottom of that, you can see numbers. Those are kilohertz, 0 through 20. Starting from the left to 100 roughly, that's going to be your base. From there, all the way up to 6K, that's going to be what's called mid, your mid-range. 6K and above is going to be your treble. I'm not a sound engineer, but I do understand the basics. Those numbers might be a little bit off. Either way, it's going to be the same, and this is going to help you regardless of what you're using, whether it's a TV, surround sound, or headphones. Now, like I said before, I'm going to keep this very basic. I can probably do a whole entire 10-minute video just on EQ alone. So the lower end from 0 to 100, like I said roughly, is going to be your base. So if you like the explosions and stuff, you're going to want to have that orange line go above on the 0. So the middle is the 0. That's the level plane. And if you want less bass, which you really can't hear from 60 and under anyways, you're going to want a drop in that. So I'm not exactly sure why it's positive on some of these options, unless surround sound, I don't know. Maybe it actually is for surround sound, but it really doesn't matter. Now for the middle, that's where the human ear is mostly focused on. So if you want clarity and be able to distinguish different sounds, that's the area that you're going to want either a cut, which is a drop if things are kind of muddy. And if things are kind of brittle, you're going to want an increase or a lift up in the chart, in the graph here. Now for treble, 6K and above, as we get older, we tend to lose hearing at this end of the hertz, which is mostly your higher pitched sounds, gunshots, and so forth. So if you can't hear little things like that, you're going to want an increase. You're going to want that to go up to get a little bit more clarity out of it. And again, there's really nobody on the internet who can set this up perfectly for your situation, because everyone's audio gear is different. But this will give you a general idea so you can do a little bit of homework and really dial this in to help you hear everything that you really need to hear in Warzone, which would be footsteps, people changing their armor, the whole nine. If you want me to go into more detail in another video, comment down below, or if you have a different situation or if you have any questions, again, leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to address those. Now let's drop down to the next section in the audio. The master volume. For this is going to be the master volume for the whole entire game. So this you want to keep at 100. There's really no reason to lower this down. Next one down is the music volume. For this, I went ahead and just took this all the way out. I really don't want music playing in the background. It's just more distracting. So for me personally, I take it all the way down to 0. For you, maybe you like a little bit of music. Put it to 20, keep it at 100. I recommend 0. Next one down will be the dialogue volume. So that's going to be the voices inside the game. Whether it's, enemy did a UAV, cluster strike coming in, the characters talking. I take this all the way down to 20 because I really don't need it. And once you get used to it, you're going to hear them at 20. You're going to hear them say stuff. And I usually pay attention to the game. I know when a cluster strike is coming, so I really don't need it. But the discretion is yours. I like to take as much out as possible so I can focus on footsteps and the more important things. And moving down to the next one, that's going to be your effects audio. So that's going to be the footsteps, everything that's an effect in a game. That you're going to want at 100. Pretty easy. And the next down, that's going to be at your discretion. And that wraps up the audio for the option section in Warzone. Okay, so let's go ahead and move into the operators. This is something I recently discovered and did a video on. If you haven't seen that, you might want to check it out because it's very interesting It's something that's really new to Warzone and to a lot of people. But all operators have a base footstep noise audio profile. Some of them are very different from others. Most that I have found are the Modern Warfare operators and skins. The Cold War, they seem to have roughly the same profile and loudness, but there is one character of the Modern Warfare that stands out above the rest. Now, I'm not able to test all the skins in the game, but right now I can tell you this: Charlie Scout is the quietest operator in the game. And I'm going to give you an example right here. So out of those three, let me know which one you think was the quietest, and I guarantee you can tell because that one's Charlie. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you. It was the second one. It's the middle. That one's Charlie. So let's move on to the next important audio detail within Warzone, and it's going to be the surface that you run on. Makes a huge difference. Some materials are very loud and some are very quiet. So go into Plunder and try out a few different things with your character or operator skin, whatever you want to do. If you're not using Charlie, but the road from the grass to the railroad to edges of buildings, this will help you settle down the footsteps so you're more quiet when you're moving throughout the game. I'll give you an example right here. The last thing I want to talk about is footsteps in general and buildings, windows, and doors. So the game does take account into your location, whether you're in a building, the doors are closed, or windows. If you bust a window, you'll actually be able to hear the footsteps better. Same thing with the door. If it's open, if you're in a brick building, you're not going to hear the footsteps or people as well as you would outside in the open. So take all that into consideration. And that pretty much sums up the audio. If you have any other questions, again, use the comment section. And on that note, it is 3 o'clock in the morning. So good evening, good morning, good day. And until the next one, see ya.